Hello, this is angband.live, which is a website that you can go to and make a free account for yourself and play a free open source roguelike fantasy turn-based hardcore game uh, in which you go and ransack a dungeon as a fantasy character adventurer, and you kill a lot of monsters, and you're probably the worst monster, but it's a lot of fun. um Hengband Live is, I believe, run by someone who goes by the handle of Gwarl, Gwarl. You'll see that name logged in on the name list on the right here of current users, but not currently, but sometimes you will. um I think it's all running on a Linux server that he has set up. Angband itself is compiled for Linux and Windows. You can download it for free from the Angband website in either of those versions. You or you can just download the source code, or you can even submit your own changes to the source code, and they may get incorporated if they're good. So that's how Angband rolls. Angband, I wasn't going to go into this, but I just let's just do it. So Angband comes from a game called UMoria, which comes from a game called Moria, which was inspired by the game Rogue back in the early 80s. Rogue was a dungeon crawler, a turn-based dungeon crawler, where when your character died, you started over. You had to get down to the bottom of a 25-floor dungeon, uh, maybe kill a monster, capture an item, and escape. That was Rogue. It was very simple. It was in just the graphics were little characters. Your character was a letter, and the monsters were different letters of the alphabet, and so forth. That inspired a lot of people. This was running on at computer labs at universities and distributed through these educational networks. Uh, these these students in the UK, I think it was, made a game called Moria, which was inspired by Rogue. It was another dungeon crawler, but they doubled the size of the dungeon. It was now 50 floors, and there was a town above the dungeon where you could go shopping and buy supplies, and then go back down into the dungeon and beat up more monsters. Um, those students, I think, graduated, and then the next year of students worked on it for another year. Then those guys graduated, but people kept working on it. It was running on these VMS systems. I don't even know what that stands for. On at this university computer lab, was it Warwick? I don't know. And it was ported eventually to Unix by some enterprising person or persons. That version was known as UMoria. The U stood for, or still stands for, Unix. Um, uh, that was kind of the one that caught on, probably just because Unix became fairly widespread. Well, and it worked well, I guess. Uh, anyway, eventually some people made a big variant of UMoria, and they again doubled the size of the dungeon. It was now 100 floors of dungeon, and that became known as Angband. And Angband has been under some form of development more or less ever since, right up to the present day, where there is a team of fairly dedicated individuals who work on Angband. You can go contribute to it as well. If you just Google Angband repository, you'll find the code repository. I think it's on github.com. And you can submit bugs. I submitted bugs, and the team actually took them seriously, which was awesome. I think there you see a Nick at the top of the list of usernames on the right-hand side. I think that's probably Nick McConnell, who is the current maintainer of the game, which is he's sort of the one who has the final say in terms of what gets integrated into the game that goes out, that is released and given an official release from the Angband team. Now it's all open source, so you could take the source code and make your own variant of Angband. And in fact, because developers of the game have put a lot of time over the years into cleaning up the code and making it modular or just easy to read. A lot of people have found it. You can just take the Angband code, even if you can't program. There are text files. You can just change the names of all the monsters. You can totally retheme the game in that way if that's all you want to do and call it your own game, and you're perfectly welcome to do that. So here on Angband Live, where Guarl, I think it's Guarl, I'll be very embarrassed if it isn't, has set this thing up where you can play. You don't even need to download the game, which you can do though from the Angband website, but you don't need to do that on Angband Live. It's all here. You just play it over his server. And in fact, there's more than just Angband here, because he's got a bunch of Angband variants that he has gotten running on his custom server. I think he's running this custom Linux server, and he takes these, he makes this slight modification. I happened across some thread on the Angband forum where he was talking about it. Makes a little modification to some of the code that hooks into his server and works, and so is able to integrate in this way. And he's been able to do that with, as you see, a bunch of different variants of Angband that people have made. And these are all open source, so it's perfectly legit for him to go and modify it to run on his own system. He's not changing the actual gameplay of these games, though. He's just getting them working for everybody to come and play, which is awesome. I tried out a bunch of these. You'll see somebody here is playing Frog Compost Band. That's the one I've seen played the most. It's just a huge variant. There's a ton of stuff. There's all these different, there's a wilderness area outside the town of Hengband. There's all these additional dungeons that you can find. I saw, there's just all kinds of ridiculous stuff. I saw a half-titan weaponsmith. I saw a player who had a fleet of ancient multi-hued dragons following him around, and he sicked them in these ice caverns on a thief lord of some sort who was just slicing into them, and it was this just epic battle. It was crazy stuff. That game, I can't handle. I can't handle it. I need to be basically just plunked into a dungeon and just let gravity point me downward, and I will do that. So that's why I'm sticking with vanilla Angband for now, at least. I'm not sure what Coffee Band is. Let's see. I bet if we highlight it in the list, I didn't even remember seeing that one in the list, though. How am I not? What the heck? I don't see a Coffee Band. How is somebody playing this game that is not in this list? Is my list broken? Is this a hack? What? Maybe one of these actually appears under a different name when you run it? Well, I don't know. I would click on that to check it out, but I don't want to intrude on somebody else's game for my video. Anyway, you can come here, and if you see the list of players playing, you can click on these and jump in and watch their game live. And then there's a chat if you click. Well, it'll be on this balloon. The balloon icon's on the right above the big field on the right by default, and it's just a big chat that everybody here is basically in the same channel on the whole time, so everybody can chat with each other. I am not putting it in the chat because I'm recording and I don't want to be intercepting people's discussions. But so you can watch people play, you can chat with them as they're playing and so forth. I'm going to be somewhat antisocial and not do that, but for everybody who does come in here and play, it's still, increasing the excitement, the increasing the games that people can watch. I mean, I don't think I'm much to watch. You see people here playing, it's just incredible. I'm a complete klutz. But every little bit. In fact, so you can then pick versions. He's got multiple versions available for a bunch of the games, or some of them anyway. Angband, of course, is the main one. It's got a ton of versions. You can go back to previous versions to play if you wanted to for some reason. Or you can also play the nightly build. Now, This is compiled from the very latest code changes. And in fact, there was a new nightly build about 11 hours ago from when I just checked. And actually, the last two nightly builds are based on fixes to issues that I raised on the Hengband code repository. I entered them as issues because I was messing around. Hengband actually has a color editor built in. You can change the ASCII colors around. There's like 28 colors that the game is supposed to be using for its monsters and effects and all kinds of stuff. And you can edit those very laboriously, but you're editing hex values, basically one value at a time. But you can do it, and in fact, I sort of did it through a text editor, but don't tell, because I was messing with my local copy, not this online copy, and there were just some. If you really change the values around a lot, you'll find some of the colors do weird things when you really push them. And I brought those up. I pointed that out, took screenshots, entered it as issues on the code repository, and they took my silly things seriously, and they addressed them already in the nightly builds. So that's pretty awesome. So. But that's actually not the reason I'm playing the nightly builds. I'm playing the nightly builds because the latest official release, which is 4.2.3, which I think came out some months ago, maybe in the summer, I forget. There's actually a bug in that version where if you're using the ancient original roguelike input mode that I'm using, which was based on an old text editor that was running on these college computer terminals called VI. And that's how you navigated the cursor around your documents in the VI text editor on these VMS systems or whatever it was at these computer labs in the 1980s at universities. It's also sometimes called the rogue keys or the HJKL keys because those are the keys you rest your 4 fingers of your right hand on. It's one key shifted to the right of where you usually would leave your hand at rest for typing. So it's actually kind of messes with you. It messes with me because it's one key shifted over. It's a little more of a strain on your shoulder because you're reaching over slightly more, and but it does have some advantages. Anyway, there's a bug with if you're using that input system in 4.2.3 Hengband for a couple targeting functions specifically, you'll find that the K key, which is supposed to help you move your cursor upward, does not move upward because it was hard-coded. Somebody got things hard-coded instead of using the correct mode switching to accommodate somebody switching to the old style input method, and so that kind of broke. But they did fix that in nightly builds. It's not yet incorporated into a official release, but you can play the nightly builds and it's fixed there. So that's what I'm playing. Well, I'm going to play 2.3. You can change your font. I was initially going to play the downloadable version of Hengband, but I actually don't like how the Windows front end, the font handling has been switched to a different like bitmap font system on Windows, and it's kind of it's more aliased, more jagged, less flexible, and also I wasn't gonna go into this stuff, but I gotta get it out of me. Apparently, where are we going here? Hengband. This is the Windows downloaded version, so it runs in a window. Actually, I don't want to do that. I'll give you the full show here because it's kind of weird, this Windows version. You'll notice that I'm running Windows in a dark mode, a dark theme, so title bars are dark gray or so forth, but Hengband is not. It's got this bright, very bright title bar. Do I have somebody available? How about this person? Okay. Here you see some of my no, I guess these aren't my modified colors. Um, but I was messing with the color editor because I was starting to, my eyeballs were starting to burn from messing with this game. And you'll see the one thing is that status line at the top where it says this seems a tame sheltered place, and also then that's just the intro, but if you like go and bonk into a wall, it'll give you updates there, and when you're fighting monsters, that's where you get all your output as far as what's going on. That's right under this bright white title bar, and I think that contrast was messing with my eyes, and there's no way to make the title bar not there and not be bright white. You can get you can get tile, bitmap graphics, but frankly, they're pretty bad. You can have more information available in these little subwindows, up to 7 of them. I had these laboriously set up to show you all kinds of things and to fit right up against each other, so it looked like kind of a seamless black screen except for the top title bars. It's all kind of, it's a little much, but you can do it. And if the contrast at the top doesn't bother you, you'll probably be just fine. While I'm here, I guess I can show you some of the, let's see, actually I have to go into the game. So here's the main options menu in the game. If I go to edit colors by hitting letter C, or you can also scroll down, I can load some of my pref files I made where I saved some of these color modifications. The color modification UI looks like this. You have to hit that list of letters to do anything. N or Shift N, capital N, will go forward or backwards through the 28 colors. I guess they're not all fitting on screen there. Plus black, which is the first one. That was kind of where some of the bugs came in. You then can modify the individual RGB values by hitting R or Shift R, G or Shift G, B or Shift B. For instance, if I hit, I'm on the color black. If I hit Shift R, there, suddenly we're on red, but you see there's one of the bugs I found. I've changed the background color to red, but it's actually catching some of the background of the dungeon I'm in is hard-coded to be black instead of the first color in the modifiable colors, which defaults to black, but is not, you can change. I just changed to red, but something is not changing. So there were issues there. I'm not sure how many of those they fixed in the nightly builds, but they were interested in them anyway, so that was cool. Anyway, all this stuff is stuff nobody's ever going to mess with. I don't know. Well, I was trying to fix my color contrast issue, so ignore that. Let's load up one of my less broken. If you modify the colors and save them with your character name, well, the Windows, frankly, the game is designed to run on a Linux or a Unix system where you play one character at a time. On the Windows version that you download, you can have multiple characters saved out at any one time and load them up. It's really clunky, and it gets really confusing. So that's another bonus of playing on angband.live, where you can't get yourself confused that way. Anyway, I made like this black and white sort of, oh no, but that's right. Another of the bugs was that it doesn't load the 0 index color. So I have to go and fix that little change I made. I have to hit R to get back to, there we go. So I'd changed it all to grayscale. I hadn't marched through the all 20 some colors, individual RGB values each step of the way. For that, I had gone into a text editor. The text files do tell you not to do that, but I think that's just a generic warning they put in there so you won't get yourself in trouble. Anyway, I sort of ignored it because in this case, the game is not writing this out anymore. I dumped it to this file, but I did that just so I could load it back into the game. So I very purposely made it for modification for myself. It's not going to hurt anything else. And then I just, mass replaced the color values to ones I wanted. So I made it all this gray. It took a lot of tweaking. That was another reason why I couldn't do it individual value by individual value in the game interface. So I thought maybe if I could make it grayscale, it would be okay for my eyeballs, but it wasn't. I think it's because, I still can't do anything about that massive white field at the top. Also, there are certain things in the game that you do need to see colors for, as I've discovered, and I kind of suspected was the case anyway. So this would be very difficult to play. Now, I was inspired to try that, though, because of Moria. I've been watching the channel Roguelike here on YouTube, he's got a huge Let's Play of Moria. Actually, well, UMoria 5.6. Now, you can play UMoria 5.6 on angband.live. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. My local copy, you can go away. I thought I did. This isn't my favorite version of UMoria, though. I forget. It is 5.6, but it's a different 5.6 than the one that Roguelike was playing. I think, although maybe not actually. Maybe that's a home Windows thing. Actually, that might be. Yeah. This says a restoration because the 5.6s, I believe, were made by the Roguelike Restoration Project. And if you go and search for this, I think the actual code repository name is, it's hunterz/umoria on github.com. That's where you'll find these 5.6 UMoria versions, and those versions are cool because, but you won't see it here. I'm just going to go in here. What the heck? This is on Angband.live. I don't even have, oh no, I do have a character. So you see Angband, or not, UMoria, which is what this is black and white. It was nice and legible. There wasn't too much stuff going on screen. I killed a kobold. And it's got these hashtag walls. The walls are composed of these hashtag characters. Now, that's fine and all, but one thing I really liked, and I still have this downloaded version installed somewhere. I think this is the one. Is it? No, it's one of these. Hang on. Is it? Let's see which one this is. Ah. Yeah. I think this is one of the, then the Roguelike Restoration Project had to make like 2 or 3 fixes because there was actually a problem with the run button. And in these games, you can hold shift to run, which is obviously helpful. You move around faster, but they broke that somehow. And it took them about 3 tries to get it working. But see, this is all running in a Windows terminal window in Windows 10. So you can go and change the fonts around to whatever you want. You can change the layout size and all this stuff. So I spent some time tweaking that because that seems to be what I like to do. But I really love these checkerboard block walls. I mean, don't those look good? Those look awesome. And it's thanks to Roguelike playing this version on his channel in his Let's Play that I found these. Now, doorways are funny in this. There's a lot of just doors that block your path. You have to hit a key to open them. That's kind of a problem in terms of playability and usability. The other thing about UMoria is that it's just wicked hard, man. And it's like Rogue, where there are all kinds of monsters who will just ruin your day. See, and there's also this auto pickup thing. You either auto pick up everything or you don't. And it's, anyway, what Angband really has done is, and the current maintainers have a great attitude about this. They're not trying to make it just throw in all kinds of stuff. They leave that to the variants. I mean, there's already a ton of stuff in Angband. What they're concentrating on in Angband Vanilla, as it's called, the main version of Angband that's been undergoing continual development, is just make it easier to play, easier to have fun with, basically. Not that they're dumbing it down at all. They're just re-examining things that have been sort of tropes in the roguelike genre ever since Rogue itself did these weird quirky things, and Moria did more of them. And it's like, do we really need to have monsters who come along and just completely destroy your actual base character stats permanently, more or less? Is that fun for anybody? And it seems, I think they've made a lot of that stuff temporary. You can still have monsters reduce your stats, but I think it's temporary in current Angband. I think you can still have like ants come in and vomit acid on your armor and melt your armor down into a puddle. I had that happen the other day when I was messing with it. That's Angband, not Moria, but Moria does that too. That's where that came from. In Rogue, of course, there were creatures who would rust your armor basically and reduce it to uselessness, and there were rattlesnakes who would poison you and reduce your strength, which was kind of the one attribute you had. Just ruin your strength. So that was all pretty rough. And Angband is really sort of helping. And like they did with these, color. I mean, the fact that Angband even has a color editor is kind of awesome. So, cool stuff. Angband is really seeing just a lot of love put into it. Now, I guess I should probably just quit this formally here. So I'm going to hit Control X. Thank you. Save my game and exit. These are the online high scores, I believe. A lot of them. What if I hit Escape to shortcut that? Okay. What else was I going to babble on about? Well, I don't think I was going to launch any of these variants in particular. No, I'd love to show you some stuff from Frog Compost Band, but I don't know how to get to the cool stuff. I would really have to just run somebody else's game, and I don't want to do that. So believe me, come to angband.live and check out somebody's Frog Compost Band game. It's kind of mind-blowing. Tome is now its own standalone game, which the author has done much more work on. He's totally redone it under his own engine, but it started out as an Angband variant. And it originally stood for Tales of Middle-earth, but then he actually I guess he was so successful that he attracted the attention of, oh no, it wasn't the Tolkien estate that came after him. It was, he originally was based on the Pern novels, Anne McCaffrey's stuff, I think, because there was a Pern Angband variant, and I think he took off from that, or maybe that was him. And I think maybe he changed from Pern Angband to Tome, which was a Middle-earth theme, which he figured would be safer, but then he eventually wanted to sort of go pro with it, and so he eventually changed the official name of what Tome stands for, which is now Tales of Magi-All. It's his own fiction or something. You can go look at, there's like a Steam release of Tome now, I think. Is that right? But he also still releases it for free from his website. But that's, of course, so this is way back in version 2, whatever. There is a variant that is not on here, and maybe it's just because because it doesn't have the right code hooks for Guarl to put it in. It's the version it's a Japanese developed version that branched off of Z Angband, which was one of the first variants. It stands for Zelazny, Roger or Robert Zelazny, who wrote the World of Amber fantasy novels. So the author of this variant changed the of the Z Angband variant changed the theme from Tolkien to Worlds of Amber, and also added a wilderness around the town, which was a huge thing at the time. I think that might have been the first major Angband variant anyway, that did that. I wonder if there was a roguelike called Omega, which was its own code base, and that was back in the early days. And I that must have come out before Z Angband, because all these variants came along kind of once, my understanding is, kind of once Angband's code was polished up so that it could be modified by other people fairly easily. And I think that was in the, this is 275. I think that was in the 2.4, because there's another variant called Hengband, which branched off of Angband, and it was Japanese, made by Japanese developers, Hengband, that is. And Hengband is still being released and updated today. So it's almost as old as Angband itself, Hengband. You can go download it. They are releasing, they just had an alpha release for the latest version 4, version 3, version 4.0045 or something on Halloween. I'm going to show it to you because there is some cool stuff in Hengband, and I think that's probably another reason why it's not so significant to have on angband.live, perhaps, because I think it might be a like a Windows character specific thing, kind of like those checkerboard walls in Moria were. Let's see, did I have that in here? Yes. Hengband, this is my Balrog. You can tell because it says Balrog in the upper left. And I'm riding my horse. There's a whole... Oh boy. How did I get to the horse menu? Oh, I don't even know. There's a whole pet menu, and I don't... Is it Shift P? No. P. Yes, the pet menu. I also have it on this very pixelated font. But you see that they use these gray X's to denote areas that you can't see. I don't have an unexplored room here. Well, there's that room over on the right. I'll just go down a floor. How about that? I'll probably get myself killed. Oh, what's this thing? Oh, it's Frisia. Frisia is... I think Frisia comes from Z Angband. I was looking this up. Although maybe I couldn't find Frisia for sure. Frisia is a cat. Target Frisia. Tell us about Frisia. A striped house cat who enjoys hunting. Well, I killed Frisia. I'm sorry, Frisia. You can pick up bodies in this version because you can do stuff with bodies. Like my Balrog, for instance, is carrying around... I was horrified when I checked my new Balrog rookies inventory and found that they're carrying 3 corpses of humans from, I guess, from town. I don't know. Well, the rogues could have come from anywhere. But then they're doing that because that's their food. That's what the Balrog eats. But you see these X's are the darkness, essentially, the unexplored darkness. But I really like the walls. They're using these, I guess, somehow custom characters. I don't know. I don't know where these intense dithered wall blocks come from, but I just think they're really cool looking. So that's something you get in the Windows version. I don't know if it's in the Linux versions. And again, this game, actually, it puts Angband to shame. Angband manual is not in the game itself. You have to go to the website, which I will probably end up showing you for the manual. On the other hand, if you hit escape, no, what am I going to hit? Equal sign to get to options? No. Question mark. Question mark to get to help. And whereas Angband would just have a list of commands and not even necessarily the ones immediately pertinent to the system input system you're using, Hengband has it's not following my VI keys. Maybe I'm not on VI keys. Oh yeah, you just have to hit a letter. Well, that's simple. But Hengband has it all here, all these help files that you can just read. You can read about the pet system. That's not what I wanted. Can I not even hit the right? G. Oh, that's monsters and pets. Friendly monsters. No, pets and writing. G. So then you can just read all about this right in the game itself. Why doesn't Angband have its text files readable there? I don't know. Maybe they're no longer maintaining the text files that much. But I think they are if you download it. I think they're in there. In the files you download. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, that's, well, actually, let's, I do want to show you all the ridiculous character classes and races you can pick. Let's do new. See, I hate having to go through this separate, menu system. It should be a keyboard-based game. So you can do a random gener by hitting asterisk. I did, and it gave me female. So look at this. This is some 40-ish races that you can choose from. I don't know what a clacon is. I think it won't tell me until I pick them. But I was just doing random again with asterisk, and I got a Balrog, I got a vampire, I got a what was the other one? It was like, oh, not the sprite. It was the specter who can go through walls. Vampire, mind flayer. I mean, just crazy stuff. Good times. You pick one of these, so I'm going to hit asterisk for random. I got a dwarf. Then it tells you what they are. You know, they have different bonuses and negatives for their statistics and special abilities as well. They can never be blinded, for instance, dwarves. So then you've got 40-some classes, and the sorcerer class, for instance, has all the spell books for all the sorcerer classes. The sorcerer just has them all. That kind of blew my mind a little. What else did I see? The cavalry officer can ride a horse, and they come with a horse. The bard can sing magical songs. Anyway, fun times. I'm gonna hit asterisk again. What do I get this time? I get a female dwarf blue mage. I don't even know what a blue mage does. Oh, it tells me here. Blue mage is a spellcaster that must live by his or her wits. Cannot hope to simply hack his or her way through the dungeon like a warrior. Blue mage may learn spells from monsters by activating his or her learning ability. Now, I think a lot of this English text documentation in Hengband still today comes from Angband. Because if you look at Angband, it's got really extensive documentation in a similar format from those help screens that we were looking at just before I came here into the character creator. And you can have there's these. So we're going to go into Angband's character creator soon, and you'll notice it's quite a bit less convoluted. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. This is all a good job, and I think this goes back to Angband, or Zangband, as I guess I like to say. So I have a lazy female dwarf blue mage. And anyway, this is getting way too, let's just, yes. No, that doesn't, I just changed something. No, I didn't. Escape. This is Hengband, not Angband again. This is it does this fancy rolling thing to get your stats. Tells you how you stack up for everything with this cool color coding. I'm excellent at using magical devices, and I'm pretty good at saving throws. I'm fair at some stuff. I'm bad at digging, horrible at stealth, bad at bows. Now, one thing it doesn't have, I'm still in Hengband, remember, is a random name. You can't hit asterisk for a random name. You can do that in Hengband, which I like because you can't get too attached to these characters. At least I can't, because they die. They die, and once they're dead, they don't come back. That's the main thing about roguelikes, you know. Anyway. Uh, Lazy Pumpkin. And you get your little random story. The only child of a door and thief, you're a credit to the family. You have dark brown eyes, straight black hair, 3-foot beard. Wow. And a dark complexion. Yeah. It always says edited. That's kind of weird. I don't know if I'm hitting the wrong key. Anyway, this game has this wilderness. There is a dungeon right over there. You start in town. This town is similar to. I need my roguelike keys. I'm sorry. I actually don't have a numeric keypad on. The other, I mean, the main input method most people use in roguelikes is probably the numeric keypad. This little compact keypad I'm using does not have a numeric keypad. What dungeon do we... Oh, that's a yeet cave. So this is a minor dungeon that they have made probably in... But it's just an example of how it's got... I don't even have a torch at the ready here, I think. It's got other... Yeah, get me some torches. I don't like this yellow color, but you can turn that off. The other thing you realize playing Hengband is that, yeah, it does feel like an old, like 2.4 something version of Angband. Like the actual, you know, it's still under constant development, but I think where that development has gone is into crazy systems like the pet system, and not so much into, say, expanding the bestiary or the variety of items, because these creatures that you find, well, maybe the echidna's new. I don't remember an echidna, but most of them are stock Angband creatures, large brown snake, and did I die? I died. I couldn't even fight that snake. And this game is really hard. As older Angband, I think, used to be. Angband now, you can tell that they put a lot of work into trying to balance the beginning game so that you wouldn't just die immediately before you even knew what was going on. It does ramp up to actually difficult pretty quickly, but it starts you off on a fairly smooth curve, which is, it really feels polished in vanilla Hengband now. There was one more thing I was going to come back to show you here in Hengband, and now I forget what it was. Hengband. I don't know, it's gone. Anyway, so those are some Hengband variants. Back to Angband.live. So Hengband is not on Angband.live. I did just sort of, I sort of stumbled across it this past week, and then I posted about it in an old Hengband thread from probably 2018 or something on the Hengband forum to try to get some attention to. And actually, one of the Hengband team developers did post on that thread because he does work with the Hengband people to help make sure their stuff compiles. So maybe that'll get Quarl's interest in trying to get it running. I don't know. Maybe it just isn't runnable because they've changed things so much. Anyway, why don't we try to get started here? So I'm playing Angband nightly so that I get those latest, well, the bug fix I want isn't super recent, but it's from a little ways back, and it fixes the little obscure targeting bug in my old VI keys input method. There's somebody playing 423 Hengband. Level 30 Dwarf Priest. I think I've got these set right. was I wasn't going to record how I I think nightly does that. Oh no. Oh, okay, because I'm zoomed in. So I do this weird thing because it lets me get a little more out of the interface, stretching it. And I have not done this too many times, so I keep forgetting the procedure. So here you see this is not version 423, it's 423.127, which is the latest nightly build. And this code number, which is actually just a random bunch of characters, more or less. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you in Hengband. I wanted to show you the start screen because that's interesting. So this is where Hengband comes from. This is the latest version, the alpha from Halloween. There might have been a new one in the past couple of days. I haven't been looking at the website. 3.0.0 alpha 45. This is basically a nightly style build, these alpha numbers, but it's based on UMoria based on Moria and UMoria. Moria is dated 85. UMoria is later than I realized. That's 89. Maybe that's just the last date they worked on it. Although Moria is now, I think, completely, there were the roguelike restoration project, and now the person, I think it is mostly running umoria.org, have put a lot of work into getting the public license issues worked out so that they got all the previous contributors signing on to say, yes, this game is freely distributable or whatever, under, whatever freely available license there is. So they're getting all the legal things cleared so that anybody can grab the game and work with it, I think is the point. So anyway, but Hengband is acknowledging that it comes from Moria and UMoria, and then Angband. So okay, they were as late as Angband 2.9 code, and then the original developer through Hengband 1.2 was Sitoshin, or actually these 4 people. Looks like they based that on the Zangband variant or Zangband variant by a Finn. I did not realize that. Then a new Zangband maintainer. Then I guess there was a whole team on Zangband. Maybe that explains how it got so big. Or I wonder if the original 1 or 2 people had made it so big themselves. Then the current Japanese maintainer. Anyway, so even Hengband has been around for so long and in development for so long that it's got this huge lineage, which is pretty cool. Well, maybe this was, I don't know. It sounds like Mr. Hoge or I can't pronounce Japanese. Maybe the current maintainer. But you can go and they've got a huge list of things to work forward on that. It's crazy. They're really going for it on Hengband. All right. Thank you, Hengband. So here I am I was just messing around in the nightly build. Is it the nightly? I'm going to hit Shift V. Yes, 4.2.3.127. And it says over on the right, Hengband Nightly. Now I'm going to mess with it a little bit to get a little more room. If I hit Control plus to zoom Firefox up a little, and it's too big for my screen, but then if I go full screen in Firefox, kapow! So that shoves the ASCII-based chat interface off to the side a little bit, which we don't need because we're not chatting anyway, or I'm not chatting. And so now we have some more screen space. Now another thing I have done is you can configure what it calls subwindows, which are sort of like those floating windows that were there in the Windows desktop version, but they're incorporated into the single ASCII screen, since this is, of course, running on a server. And since it is running on a server, you'll feel a tiny bit of delay between your button presses, but it's a turn-based game, so that won't actually, hurt you unless you actually get a huge internet hiccup, which can happen. Okay, so here's a giant black ant. Now you'll see that's one code, or that's one sub window display I've set up in the lower right, is a thing that shows me a list of all the monsters I can see. It's just one at the moment. I wonder if I could get more. Well, and then if I actually contact a monster, that'll activate my other info window, which is what's called the recall. And that's a cool feature of Angband and it was in Moria, where you just have this sort of encyclopedia that is being built up as you play the game, and even as you play through multiple characters. It all adds to this accumulating knowledge base that you have, and that is available, that can come up during the game and that you can query. It's a little hard to query though, so that's why I have it just coming up automatically in this info window. I don't you can't just like bring up a field and type in a creature name and have it come up with the recall. It's not that simple, which is too bad. But I do like this automatic method that I set up with the sub window. I also have I have this overlapping, in fact, with an object recall. So if I find an object on the ground, I'll be able see. So I just killed that ant, and it filled in a little more knowledge. It now knows how many experience points there were. So it says a kill of this creature is worth 3.2 points for a 5th level character. So it knows that now, and it was able to add that in. Maybe it also added in the life rating part. Anyway, it says, see at the bottom, it says nothing is known about its attack. That's because it didn't get a chance to attack me. Once an ant attacks me, that will start to get filled in. And that becomes important because certain creatures have attacks that are very dangerous, like more dangerous versions of ants that you find lower in the dungeon have acid attacks. They can just spray you with acid. And so something like that is very important to know. Of course, the experienced players of this game know all this stuff by heart now, so they probably wouldn't want to have these windows there because they already know all that stuff. But for someone like me who's learning, it's really helpful. Even though I can just play through just bashing letters as they come up, I find that this kind of gets me into the game more. It gets me into the fiction, and I find out things that I would never have guessed. You'll see things where it'll tell you once you've learned it. It's just happened to learn it that, creatures will have certain vulnerabilities or resistances to fire or other elemental attacks and so forth, and that'll all get filled in there. It's pretty cool. The other thing I like is that, see my little monster list in the lower right. I don't always notice when a new monster appears. Now, a game like Infra Arcana, which is another kind of the other roguelike I'm playing now, that throws less monsters at you, and when you encounter a new monster in that game, hold on, I want to check something. That's not it. Full screen. Make sure we're still recording. That's good. I don't want to have to go through this again. It'll just break me mentally. In Infra Arcana, you don't come across that many monsters. It's sort of when you coming across a monster in Infra Arcana is a big deal, and so it alerts you every time you come across a new monster. Angband does not, because these dungeons can get very crowded with monsters, especially later on. So that wouldn't work. But I don't know. So I don't always notice when there isn't a whole lot going on. I don't always notice when a new monster appears, and that might be, of course, of crucial life or death importance. So one thing this little monster list does is actually kind of acts like radar. So you see, I notice in the corner of my eye that it is updated when this spotted mushroom patch comes into view, because it sticks it in the list, and then I notice that. One thing is that I'll probably have to increase the size allotted to that lower info display at some point when there are more monsters on screen. It wants more monster types. What is this line? A titanium wand? Gimme. Let's zap the mushroom patch with it. See, there's this whole identification game, it's called, that began in Rogue, where when you find a new item, you don't know what it is. You don't know if it has magical properties or if it's sort of obvious that it probably has magical properties, since this is a wand. You still don't know what they might be, so you can learn it by using a scroll of identify on it. If you were going into town, you could get shopkeepers to identify it, or you just learn it by using it, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to shoot it at the closest monster, which is that patch. Yes. Cool. So now my info has targeted the mushroom patch, so now I have my recall on the mushroom patch. Not clear what that did from that list, but if I go to info, so it's a wand of light. So I shot it with light. That didn't hurt it, probably. But you can see here that I do know it's hurt by fire. Oh, and I do know because now I shot it with a bright light, but it resisted the bright light. So that's cool. That's such a cool system, this recall system. And in fact, it's funny too because monsters that are basically immobile, it doesn't say they're immobile. It says it moves at normal speed but does not deign to chase intruders. That seems to be code for, yeah, it doesn't move. If you hit tilde, that is your knowledge base. Now, I have not gotten deep enough to really... Whoa. Oh, that's NPCs in town, to really know how to put this to good use. But for instance, it's got a database of the monsters that I have run into. You have to go through them sort of laboriously here. But these are, again, my sort of accumulated encyclopedic knowledge of monsters. And I think if I hit enter here, then you can... White icky thing, one of the less inspiring, you can pick up the recall right, or pull up the recall right there. Oh shoot, I should have left. Well, let's, I don't have anything to fire at him. Well, I have to go. Arg. Am I not on? Oh, I'm just hitting the wrong buttons. I'm poisoned. Well, I don't care. Okay, they're dead. I'm going to drop an item just so I can show you another thingy here. What should I drop? Drop my flask of oil. Oh, I hit the wrong key. Drop C, flask of oil. There it is. Now, if I take a look at this thing on the ground, yeah, it didn't do it. Why didn't it do it? Is it because... Oh no. I can hit R to have recall there. Well, now I'm going to have to go into my subwindows setup settings. W. Oh, I don't have it doubled up here. What the heck was I doing? So it's a trick I learned because I found that you can double these up, and that was actually causing some glitches with some of the things I had doubled up, and I was going to thinking I should report it as a bug, even though it felt like something obvious that people would have known. But I found on the Hengband forum a thread where this was discussed some years back. And, well, no, I found the bug in that somebody had filed about it in their issues list on their code repository. And it was resolved as will not fix because it actually has people like it, because you can get little functions out of it where it will double up information it can display you based on what's going on. So I have the top window. What I wanted to do was have monster list and object list stacked on one another. You can't do that, not in the same info window. But you can have the monster recall and object recall both selected. And when you do that, it's still got my monster recall from that last monster I was going up against. But if I take a look, if I target over at this flask of oil, so now it pops up automatically the recall of the flask of oil in the list over there. And then if I untarget it, reverts back to the monster. I'm not sure why. I think that's just, the priority there is maybe it's just what's in the top of the list. No, because monster was on top. I don't know, but that's a quirk of the subwindows system actually that you can that some people have found ways to use to their advantage. So that's kind of a fun little tip that I managed to find in the issue tracker and the code repository. Anything else I want to look at here with this character before I actually go and make a character that we'll try playing for realsies? No, I don't think so. Okay, so you can only play one character at a time in any one game here on Hengband Live. So that means, what is this character's name even? Kaladi, that's a random name. Kaladi has to die. And you do that by hitting Shift Q. There's probably something I'm going to want to... Well, if we go out to home real quick. So you notice these, at the top, there's the font size field. You have these different fonts you can choose. I did mess with all of them. The default is Droid Sans Mono, and that is kind of the one that works best for my eyeballs for the display. But you can experiment with other fonts that are on here. I think these are probably Linux type fonts. I don't know. Anyway, you change the sizes. Oh, I had it 22. I had it cranked up to 22, which somehow worked once. But that wouldn't work right now. No, I think this did work best. All right. Yeah. You have to experiment with the numbers in these fields to get the sizes of the sub windows working. You can add another one at the top and or bottom, but especially for I'm only running a 1080p display, so I actually can't fit that many rows and columns of characters in. But you can get kind of nuts. Most people that I see playing only have... I did see somebody playing with 3 info windows, 2 on the right, 1 on the bottom, which I can do. It does make the visible part kind of small, but not unmanageably small. So I was thinking, so for instance, that person had a readout, a running list of the status messages, which you can pull up by hitting Control P. They had like the last 10 messages printing out at the bottom of the screen, of the central part of the screen. Which is probably useful. You would see things there that you could very easily miss that happened. But what the heck, we're living on the edge. Okay, so whatever this half-elf's name is has to die. And they make you make absolutely sure, type your @ symbol. Doesn't bother to register my score in the system because I quit. That's interesting because I think when you kill yourself in the Windows downloadable version, I thought it just said you died. I don't think it said that you quit, but maybe maybe Guarl did that so that he wouldn't have to save those scores, and he gave that reason basically. I don't know. Anyway, we're just going to go straight to new game. Information, you can look up all the stats on your character after they die. You can save out their files and preserve them for yourself. And I think the files list you can pull up in the upper right window here on Hengband Live. There's that little sheet of paper icon where it will list all the files that you've been creating for each of the games and variants, and you can, I think, download them. Oh, or just view them. Yeah, you can just straight up download them. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we're just gonna go to new, not you. Well, how did I pull that up? Oh, I broke it. Okay. New game. Am I here? Am I? Sometimes it seems like the cursor gets a little confused, and I can usually get this back by going there. Start new game. Yes, please. Okay, I don't want to base it on the new one. I want to go through the whole character creation, so I'm going to hit Shift N for redo. All right. So here we are in vanilla Angband character creation. This is the nightly build, but it's pretty much it will still look like this if you're playing the latest official release 4.2.3. You start by, it's funny, I thought you picked your gender first, but unless it hasn't gone back quite all the way, I guess you don't. So we're going to do our race first. And it tells you the keys. Now, wait a second. Asterisk for random menu item. @ symbol for finish the character with random. Oh, that just does all random all the way through. That's probably what I kind of want, but... Oh, or escape to step back through the birth process. Oh, that's all that there is. Can't step back no more. Okay, so we're going to hit Shift N. Redo. Equal sign for the birth options. Now, I'm going to have to go off and do that because that's important for me. You don't have to mess with this if you don't want to. It's totally optional, but I like to tinker. So I am going to mess with those and get myself in trouble. Yeah, so I'm going to hit equal for the birth options. These are options you can only change during character creation. So if you didn't notice this and then later found out about them and wanted to change these, you would have to kill your character and start over if you were determined to change them. So these aren't the defaults. These are what I have. I'm going to hit R to restore. R to restore, X to reset. Let's do X. What does that do? Okay, that reset to, I believe, defaults. On the website, you can go and look up all of these, and it'll give you an explanation of them, I think, on the documentation site, on the manual site, whatever it's called. I changed, 3 of these to custom tailor the game to let me play the way I want to play. As I was saying, Angband is a pretty simple setup with a small, weird town, mostly consisting of shops. Just a little town square of shops. I think in Hengband, not in Moria, but in Angband, there's also a house that is your house, and you can just put stuff in and it'll save it, I think is the point of that. Just a storage space, basically. I think. I haven't actually used the house because I don't want to use the town at all. I don't want to spend my time in the game shopping. I want to be in the dungeon doing cool stuff with the monsters. So that's one thing I'm going to change. The town is on top of this massive dungeon, and you go from the town, you just go down a stairway into the first level of the dungeon, which is the top level. And then, the floors count down to 100 at the bottom level, which is where the big boss is that you're supposed to kill or serve a jury notice or something. I don't know. Anyway, I've never got close to the floor 100, so what do I know? You can change how freely you can move through the floors. You can change how some of the objects that will appear on the way appear. So those are some of the things I'm going to mess with here. So generate a new random artifact set. I've never gotten far enough to even get a whiff of an artifact, I don't think. Or if I did, I was too much of a noob to recognize it. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Uh, but artifacts are just what are the most powerful magic items, and they usually have a whole bunch of magical properties that are potentially useful to an adventurer. Um, by default, there is a designed, custom crafted set of these artifacts in the game, and they may or may not appear, I think, scattered throughout the dungeon. You may have to fight big monsters, I don't know, to get them. Anyway, you but you can, at some point, they added in a random system to generate random ones. Um, that could be terrible if they were just all lame or boring or overpowered or something, but I looked up people discussing this on the Angband forum, and it seems like people were having fun with it. So they were saying that by and large they're probably a little weaker than the designed ones, but some of them are, for whatever type of character you're playing, they may be super good. So anyway, it sort of adds to the fun. That sounds cool. So I'm turning those on. Generate connected stairs. The default is now yes, I guess, which I thought it wasn't. Connected stairs means that when you go down or up a stairway, you will find yourself at the base or top of a stairway, and you can then go right back the way you came. I think it used to default to not connected stairs, which means that when you go, say, down a stairway, you'll appear on a new floor and there will be no stairs around you whatsoever. So it's like you just sort of warped because there's no stairway to go back up, even though you just came downstairs. That was disconnected stairs. You can do it either way. The disconnected stairs thing just feels really weird to me, so I don't do that. But it looks like the default is now that it doesn't do that anyway. Force player descent. This was a way, because the weird thing about Moria and then Angband is that the floors are by default, they randomize, they're randomly created. That's the big thing about roguelikes, is that the worlds are randomly generated, but not only are they randomly generated in Moria and Angband, they're randomly regenerated each time you go back to a floor. So if you are, say, on floor 63 and you find a stairway down to floor 64, you take the stairs down to floor 64, but then you think, oh, maybe there's, I've gotten in trouble. I need to go back up to floor 63 where I felt safer. So you take the first stairway you find up, back up to floor 63, but is it the floor 63 you came from and had cleared all the monsters out of? No, it isn't. It is a randomly regenerated floor of about the same difficulty level as far as the random generator is concerned, but totally different arrangement of rooms and monsters and freshly regenerated set of monsters and treasure and everything. And that's just the way those games worked. So you could, but that also was a balancing mechanism, because if you were finding the going too tough, you could just stay on a certain layer of the dungeon and just go up and down, say, between floor 63 and 64, and just repeatedly gathering treasure and killing monsters and getting better gear and raising your character's abilities through fighting and gaining experience points, and without increasing the difficulty level risk that you would get if you were descending in the dungeon. So you can just grind, basically. And Angband is sort of known as a grindy game because players can play it grindy if they want to. But you can also, here in the birth options, say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to give myself the option to go back up stairways. So you can basically say, force players ever downward. You can't go back up a stairway. I'm not going to do that. I would do that because I need to force myself. But there's another option that sort of supersedes that for me. Word of Recall has no effect is also part of this, what's called Iron Man play, where you're just going down. Word of recall is what warps you back to town to take a little break, restock your supplies, sell loot, and buy new gear in the shops. I don't want to do that, so I turn that off. Now, I think there's also another. Oh no, there isn't a shop birth option. Some of the variants have an option that just turns off shops. I think Hengband does, for instance. It just makes it so shops are always closed, so that you can't even go in the door of a shop. Here, though, pretty much all you can do is turn off word of recall, so you could still get back to the town unless you force player descent by just walking through all of the floors back up to the first level and then the stairway up to town. But you can't warp to the town with a scroll of recall, which you can always buy more of in town. If you've played a little game called Diablo, this may sound a little familiar to you. Diablo had the town portal spell, which would warp you back in this big glowy oval bluish purple effect from wherever you were off adventuring back to the safety of town, and then you could restock and sell your stuff and talk to people and get quests and then warp right back to where you were. The developers of Diablo, the first Diablo, made no secret about the fact that they were inspired to make Diablo. They were directly inspired from Angband. So what's called Town Portal in Diablo is word of recall. That's where Town Portal comes from. It comes from Angband's word of recall. And notice the setup in Diablo, does a small, weird town right above a huge dungeon ring a bell? Because that's Angband. But that's what Diablo's setup is too. In fact, Diablo, they were first looking at making a turn-based game, but then they decided to go for the live the live action. That's the wrong term. Anyway, you know what I mean. So it became a very different feeling. But yeah, it's basically made Angband into a live action game and much simpler. This is artifact stuff that that's a little too advanced for me. I don't know what that does exactly. I don't much care. Stacking objects, I don't think I care. More artifact stuff I don't care about. Level feelings, it gives you a hint about what kind of loot, specifically in a lot of cases artifacts. Your chance of finding an artifact, I think, may be on a level. It's just a sentence that appears when you get to a new level. It'll kind of tell you what the tang in the air is. And you can turn those off. I don't know if people find those annoying or something spoilery. I don't know. I do keep this on. I'm surprised that's on by default. I don't know if I have permanently changed the default. Or maybe just not selling is the default, because in Moria, certainly in the Let's Play I'm watching at Roguelove. Is that even the name? That game is all about gathering loot and selling it in town, up to a certain point anyway, because he did so much grinding that money just became ridiculous for him. Because he'd sold so much. But in fact, in that game, to sell or buy anything, you had to barter. You have to barter in Moria with the shopkeepers. There's not just a fixed price until you become like their special pal. Up to that point, you have to barter all of them. You have to barter their prices up or down all the time when you're buying or selling or buying rather. I don't think you barter in Angband, at least certainly not in current versions. I don't think, but it looks like they just have selling off by default now, and you just get more gold, so you don't have to worry about carting stuff back to town constantly. Maybe that's just people got sick of that. And see, that's another thing it seems like, these are things they're re-examining. Like, is really carting stuff back to town fun? If you've played, oh gosh, what are those fantasy huge open world games that, Arrow in the Knee and all that, whatever the heck those games are. I didn't play the latest ones, but I played some of the early ones on PS3. And those games, there's so much loot. You're carting like full plate armor back to town, and you can only, it's so heavy. And it was all about just running truckloads of gear back to town. So, anyway, I guess they're moving away from that, which I am all for because I was not going to use shops at all. Anyhow, start with a kit of useful gear. That's on by default. These are all still the defaults. This, I think, there was a warning on this at some point that said it made it harder. I think they've just decided that that's the way they're going to go, which sounds good to me. Now, these two are interesting. No all runes on birth. So I was talking about that system where it's the identify game, as it seems to be known, where, although here they've recently renamed identify to this rune thing. You're not identifying an item, you're identifying the runes on the item, because items can have multiple runes that give them the multiple powers, magical powers. But so you can basically get rid of the identify game and just know all of the properties of everything to begin with. And then when you find a new item on the floor in the dungeon or whatever, you'll already know what it is. You won't have to identify it or guess, use it and find out the hard way that it was a wand of summon monster or something. You'll know that before you kill yourself experimenting. And I would have gone for this if Angband had not made strides to make learning by using a lot kind of more natural, and it actually works. Whereas in earlier versions, or earlier, maybe back in Rogue or Moria, it could be really hard to figure out what something was, and maybe just impossible depending on what its effects were. But now it seems actually kind of interesting. Also, there's, for instance, potions that you can't figure out what type of potion it is until either you cast a magical spell of identify on it, either via a scroll you find or a spell you learn from a spell book. But I got tired of that, so I would just chug the potions. Actually, I don't think there were deadly potions in Rogue. They knew enough not to do that. But anyway, you can separately turn off the identify game for flavors. I think is things like potions. Runes are things that are on objects. So you can turn off the identify game for like armor and swords and things you equip, or for separately for scrolls and potions and things that are sort of disposable one-shot items, or maybe just things that you don't equip, like also wands, I think. Anyway, so that's a good option to have. If I find those things are irritating, I can just come and turn those off for my next character. So anyway, though, the only other one I mess with that I changed from the default is persistent levels. So this was a new and revolutionary thing at some point, I guess, for Angband, and it still is labeled experimental, even though, as far as I can tell from the discussion threads on the forum, it's been around for some years. But maybe they still aren't certain if it's balanced. I don't know. It seems like people do use it successfully. Anyway, I like the idea of it. So I'm going to turn it to yes. What it means is that floors of the dungeon will not regenerate themselves each time you re-enter them. So in that example, if you go from floor 63 to floor 64 and then back up to 63, you will find 63 more or less as you left it. The monsters you killed will still be killed. The treasure you looted will still be looted. The walls and rooms will be where they were. So it won't regenerate itself. The dungeon is fixed once you start a new character, effectively. I think that's cool. It means, for instance, that if there's a gang of monsters on some floor that you just can't seem to beat, you can just run away from them, continue on down the dungeon, and then once you're feeling like you have increased your abilities to the point where you can take them on, then you can backtrack and go, see if you can take them on. It also means that if you, for instance, fall through a floor or a bunch of floors via a magical scroll that you weren't sure what it did, and it turned out to be a scroll of deep descent, which drops you, I think, 6 floors, you can work your way back up to where you were. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. You can retreat up stairways. You know, if you run into trouble, you can retreat back to a place that you know you cleared. I think you probably still get occasional random monsters generating, but anyway, I think it's a cool thing to play with. So I'm going to try that out. So those are so basically, what did I change? I put rand arts, as they're called, random artifacts, on. I turned off word of recall, so you can't just warp back to town. You can't actually turn off shopping, though, which is curious, but I'm not going to shop. I'm not going to bother turning on forced player descent. Well, in part because so with persistent levels, the big difference is that you can't grind repeating the level and having the level regenerate and just redoing the floor of a dungeon over and over by going up and down floors repeatedly. Because it won't regenerate. It'll just be the same. So it's basically a fixed amount of loot and monsters. So yeah, you can't do that stuff. No, so I'm not going to recall back to town. I'm going to have random artifacts. And I'm going to have persistent levels. So those 3 things. So if I hit S to save, it'll save that back. And I press the any key and escape. Okay, so I've set my birth options. I'm going to hit, so these are the vanilla races. You've got your 11 races. Human, of course, is the boring one because, of course, we view the entire universe in relation to us. So everything else is plus or minus from where humans are in terms of abilities. Most of the other ones have some distance of infravision. They can see warm things in the dark, so warm-blooded creatures and so forth. Can't see walls unless maybe they're warm walls, I guess. I don't know. With infravision. But you can see warm creatures. So I'm never going to remember all this stuff but you also have abilities. So half-elves sustain dexterity. Oh, that means that they can't get their dexterity lowered by a evil creature messing with them. Elves have sustained dexterity and a light resistance, so they cannot get blinded by bright light, I guess. Hobbits have mushroom lore. So you find all these edible mushrooms in the dungeon, and some of them have weird effects, I think. At least they do in Moria. Hold life, I'm not sure what that is. I'm not even looking at the stats. It's just too much to take in, even with this fairly pedestrian list of races. Gnomes have device lore and free action. Free action means like you can't get slowed down by rubble in a passageway or something, I think. That kind of thing. Dwarves are miners, so everybody can dig tunnels in Angband, at least if you have the right digging implement, depending on how hard the rock you're trying to dig through is. But it sounds like dwarves probably have an advantage in terms of how fast they can dig. And they can't be blinded. Half-orcs. Dark resistance. Dark. I mean, there are like scrolls of darkness that just make it dark around an area. Maybe that's what that is. And also blindness immunity. It's interesting. They're bad at stealth, bad at saving throws. I haven't been looking at all these things. Dwarves have a lot of bonuses. They're not good at stealth. They're not good at intelligence or dexterity. Good at strength. Anyway, that's too much stuff. Half-trolls have sustained strength, so they can't get their strength drained, which is a huge thing in Rogue. and they regenerate. I think that means they regenerate hit points. Now, any character, if they're not poisoned or something, can just pass turns in the dungeon, and that will slowly regain their lost hit points if they've been wounded. But it sounds like trolls probably regenerate their health a lot faster. Half trolls. Now, of course, a half troll, because this is a humanocentric scheme made by humans for humans to play. That means half troll, half human. It does not mean half troll, half gnome, or, half elf, half dwarf, or come on. Where's the crazy times? Dunedain, I forget if that's a human or another dwarf. They've got all pluses. And sustained constitution. I mean, they sound like the bestest. Why wouldn't you play Dunedain? Sounds like the win mode. Sustained constitution, so they can't get their constitution drained, and light resistance. High elf can see invisible and has light resistance, and a lot of pluses, -2 wisdom. Well, it sounds like human is hard mode. I don't know. Kobolds, -1 strength and intelligence, poison resistance, and light resistance. It doesn't, it'll tell you, I think only after you select one, it'll give you a little actual text blurb on it. I'm going to hit random. So asterisk. Oh, it doesn't even tell me there. What did I get? I got kobold. Okay, let's go to the, oh no, it's here in my browser. Let's go to the manual. Creating a character. This is the website manual. It's linked from the Hengband main website. Races. And we're a kobold. Kobolds are a race of small dog-headed humanoids. Sweet. That dwell underground. They have excellent infravision. Of course, a lot of this stuff comes from Dungeons and Dragons, which came out in the late 70s, mid 70s. So yeah, that's where Rogue got a lot of its stuff. Kobolds are a race of small dog-headed humanoids that dwell underground. They have excellent infravision and are intrinsically resistant to, and a lot of it for Hengband especially comes from Tolkien. Excellent infravision, but I don't think Tolkien had kobolds. They have excellent infravision and are intrinsically resistant to poison of all kinds. Of course, I could be wrong about that. I have no idea. So that's cool. You can't get poison. Excellent infravision. I didn't notice what the distance was, but you can look at your character sheet. They have good dexterity and constitution. They are weaker than humans and also not noted for great intelligence. Well, that's, maybe they have it and they just haven't, nobody's paid attention. Furthermore, they are ugly. Hey, that's relative. And not trusted in town. Yeah, see, there's actual racism in this game. At least there was in Moria, and it sounds like there still is here. I mean, it's racism. In Moria, in the playthrough I'm watching on the roguelike channel, shopkeepers of your own race, as species or subspecies seem to be known, will give you better prices. It's total racial favoritism. And it sounds like maybe that's still in Hengband. So that's pretty gross. But it wasn't all mead and song in these fantasy worlds, I guess. There is the ugly specter of racism right there in Hengband town, sounds like. Anyway, we ain't going to town. We ain't going to that Hateville. Jeez. Ugly. Stupid humans. And while their constitution makes them tough, it still cannot prevent the fact that they are not the biggest of creatures and have few hit points. Oh no. Oh no. I don't do well with few hit points. That's why I play warriors. Oh, well, we're in it now, baby. Okay. So I'm a kobold now. I'm not going to hit random for classes here. I found after some experimentation that I stink as a spellcaster. And what I also was somewhat surprised to find is that all of the other classes have some kind of spellcasting. Even, I mean, obviously mage and druid and priest will have spells. Necromancer seemed kind of cool, but you can turn into a bat. I think that was this game. The Necromancer can turn into a bat, unless that was vampires in Hengband. You get the ability to. Even paladins have some spells. Rogues, that was the one that really surprised me. Rogues have spells like detect. They can cast things like detect traps as a spell. That's so they have they carry around a spell book, and I don't know if it's like Moria, but in Moria, the Roguelove playthrough guy, he's a paladin, and so he's got these prayer books, and he kept getting them stolen or burned. And if you didn't have a shop to go back, or it was a holy shop in town to repurchase new spell books, you would have been completely hosed, because you could randomly find one in the dungeon, but are you going to survive that long if you ever do even find one? So I'm trying to play without shops, so that's kind of, I don't know if you can lose your spell books in Angband like you could in Moria, but I don't know. I just find that it's more keys to hit all the time. You have to manage a mana meter, all this stuff I don't want to do. You still get, as a warrior, you can still use scrolls and wands and things, just maybe not as well. That's the devices score, I think. Like a warrior has plus 23 to devices, but a mage has plus 41. Rangers have nature magic. Some of that was changed around fairly recently. I think in Angband 4.2, maybe it was, or 4.0. There was some big semi-recent change in terms of how the classes, the schools of magic were divided. And then I did try this Blackguard class. That's a weird one. You don't have normal mana points. You get your mana points to cast some limited, this shadow magic. You get that by being in combat and like getting wounded or something. And I'm bad at managing magic, and that was just, I just couldn't make that work for me at all. Anyway, so I'm basically going to be sticking with warrior for the foreseeable future, I think. I just want to clunk heads together. I'll get magic equipment. That's enough for me. I don't want to manage mana and spell books and whatever. I want to be a tough dude or dudette who can take some hits. Now, it sounds like I probably picked randomly, I got the race that can take the least hits, perhaps. But, that's randomness for you. So, yeah, I'm not going to do random classes here in Vanilla Hengband. I'm just going to do warrior. I have a minus to wisdom and intelligence, but look at all those pluses to strength, dexterity, and constitution. And I don't know exactly what standard roller is. Points-based is recommended, it says. Good enough for me. And it seems like it just gives you a distribution of attributes. I don't think I have to mess with those, and I get confused about when I try to, because I don't really understand what I'm doing here. It's something to do with changing the range of the rolls you'll get. I'm just going to hit enter. Oh, so I have 50-foot intravision as a kobold. Yeah, that's cool, I guess. I have fair stealth. Normal speed. I don't know. And then you can hit asterisk for a random name from this big table of Tolkien-esque names that the game comes with. Oron, that's a good name for a kobold, I bet. My character history, I don't really pay attention to these. I mean, again, you can't get attached to these characters because mine at least are going to die. In fact, I think you have to die at the end. Even if you win the game, you still have to technically kill your character in order to get their high score recorded. I think. That's the way it worked at some point in the past, anyway. You are the largest of a litter of 4 pups. Your father was a warrior, and your mother was one of. I forget. I did random gender, but it doesn't even tell me here if I got male or female, so I guess it really just doesn't matter. Your mother was one of the chief's harem. Oh. Okay. So I could be the offspring of the chief, maybe. Anyway, you have black eyes and olive green hide. Sweet. Small, sharp teeth. That's pretty sexy. I hit yes. Any other key to continue? Cool. So that was, you hit C to bring up your character sheet. Still not telling me my gender there. I didn't, and it didn't, when I hit random gender, I don't think it gave me a print back. Actually, yeah, I saw this once. Like, there's some way you can infer your gender by doing something in the game, but I don't remember what that was. I think that was Hengband. So I don't know my gender, actually, because I hit random. Oron sounds like a male. So I'm just going to assume this is a male. I could be proved wrong, and that'll be a strange twist, or a surprise twist eventually. My weight is 4 stone, 4 pounds, I guess. What? How many pounds in a stone? I don't know. 20? I have no idea. Wait, I'm only 2'8"? Wow. I'm 2'8". Holy cow. Turns used. Game 1, standard 0, resting 0. I'm not sure what that means. Like, I guess to move takes a turn. To move a square takes a turn. Maybe standard rest. I don't know. I have 271 gold. There's a mean looking mer. Probably that's merchant, but it's cut off asleep in town. Where you always start. Okay, I'm going to hit escape to get back. Okay, so this is town. It's kind of gross looking. I am the @ symbol in the upper right mess there. But one thing that you don't realize, if you're here for the first time, is that you're actually starting right on top of the stairs down to the dungeon. So those blocks of hashtags are the shops with each has a number embedded in it. Those are the shop entrances. That T is a mean looking, probably merchant. I'm not going to bother identifying them. There's all kinds of muggers and jerks in town. Pickpockets. It's a gross. Town is gross. We know now that it's populated by racists. So I'm not going to hang out here. But so if I just move aside for a sec, that right pointy bracket that's the symbol for a stairway down. So I'm just going to get back on the bracket, hit the bracket, the right pointy bracket on my keyboard, and that's the take stairway down key. Now this message you get is the same, I think, that was in Moria. You enter a maze of down staircases. And if you've read the Fellowship of the Ring, or even seen the movie, the live action movies, where they did a pretty interesting job of interpreting Moria, bringing Moria to life, and it was really this, just long. It was this crazy dwarven maze of stairs and passages and grand hallways and huge forges carved out in the deep depths of the mountains. So that's what they were playing on here. This was sort of their fiction for how you end up on a random floor each time. Now I was thinking, I have turned that off. I have the fixed floors going. So should it still be telling me that I'm in a maze of down staircases? But because I think later on it tells you you're lost in a maze of down staircases. Maybe not though. Maybe all it says is, maybe they changed it in Hengband. So there's the flavor, or whatever it is, text for the level. This seems a tame, sheltered place. That's implying you're probably not in too much danger here, which is good because I'm a 2'8" kobold rookie warrior. So I'm the @ symbol. The walls are the hashtags. The dots are the illuminated floor that I can see. You're in a tunnel, and what if it's like Rogue, and I think it is, tunnels are always dark in effect. So even if you have a light source, you can't see more than a. Well, that's not true in Angband, is it? All right, never mind. Now you hit W to wield, or you hit E to see your equipped stuff. So I'm wielding a dagger. That is my only weapon. I'm wielding a lit torch. Starts off at 5,000 turns of light. A wooden torch. I found an everlasting lantern just messing around on a low level in the game yesterday. That was in 4.2.3, not the nightlies, I think. Basically, it didn't need fuel. It just burned forever. That seemed amazing to me. And I have soft leather armor, which is giving me an armor class boost of 8. I think you can do Shift I, at least in my roguelike version of the command. No, that's not right. Shift I? No. Oh, yeah, that's examine. I got confused by this for a while. Examine starts you off in your inventory, which is non-equipped items, but if you hit, see that little key at the very top, it says / for equip. So that means if you hit this / key, it will switch over to your equipped stuff, and then you can pick one of those to examine. I want to examine my soft leather armor, so I hit letter G. I could also move up and down the list and pick it with the enter key, but I'm going to hit G. Soft leather armor. So it's interesting. It's not pulling it up in my info field. Oh, maybe I have to. No, I don't have to redo those. It actually doesn't tell me what those numbers mean. I thought it would. Sometimes it does for some things. A cuirass, is that how you pronounce that? Of pliable leather, blah, blah. All right, well, it didn't tell me what I wanted to know. Phooey. Anyway, I think it's giving me 8 of my 10 current armor class, which you can see in the middle left. And my hit points are 19 out of 19. One thing that is nice that I see in Frog Angband, or Frog Compost Band, sorry, is that you get a sort of asterisk-based life meter readout for your hit points, which is helpful, I think. In vanilla Angband, your @ symbol character does change color. So when you're a little wounded, you're no longer a white @ symbol, you're a yellow @ symbol. When you're more wounded, you're orange. When you're really wounded, you're red. So that's a good clue. Now I'm moving in the 4 cardinal directions. I'm not using my diagonals for some reason. You can run by holding shift and hitting a direction. It'll scoot you right along. Now, so I've explored a tiny bit of this tunnel. That's, not exciting stuff. If I go back up the stairs to town, this I hope will be the last time I do this. Enter a maze of staircases back in town. Now if I go right back down, here we are. So it did not re-randomize the level. That's what persistent levels does. So that's good, I think. That's what I tell myself I want anyway. So I'm just exploring. Now normally I would just hit shift and let it run until it finds something, and then it'll stop for me. These are doors. You don't have the problem that you do in Moria or early versions of Angband, where you keep bumping into like jammed doors or locked doors. It's really obnoxious. Here, doors pretty much all just open for you. I suppose there are probably special rooms later where they don't. Now here, there's an option to have the view recenter on you. Oh, it kept the options from my earlier character. I think the only one I changed is the roguelike command set. You can change how you can have the game center the view on you constantly, so you don't have this current quirk I have here. Yeah, center map continuously P. One thing that's interesting is I don't think this walls as solid blocks works on this Linux build. Oh, it does. See, I thought this was the way to go for a while. It's a lot sort of clearer, but it's actually kind of hard on the eyes. It's sort of gross looking. You notice there's no dither patterning. It's all dither pattern. It's all about the dithers, as the Japanese culture knows. And this does not have the dithers. It's just kind of horrible looking. So, yeah, I'm going to turn that off. Back off. I already have the yellow torchlight turned off because that was sort of messing with my eyeballs. I don't think I've changed any of this other stuff. You can review your birth options here just to make sure you set them the way you wanted, but you can't change them now. This other stuff, except for subwindows setup, I have not messed with really. Oh, so you can press Shift W, and then you can pan the map around. So when I only had half the room on the screen because I've got an info window there, I could have panned over with W just to make sure there wasn't some monster lurking over there, but it would have shown up on my monster list, I think, anyway. So we have this white icky thing. I could look it up by hitting X, which is examine, to look around, and then you can hit a direction key to tab over to the monster. Small slimy icky, blah blah. I mean, this is probably the least inspired creature. These icky things. I mean, come on. I pity the artist who would have to try to draw these. I mean, they just gave it a silly name. I mean, you know, Angband supposedly has a Tolkien theme. I mean, what? You know, come on. Would Tolkien have had an icky thing? He might have referred it to that sometimes, something like that as a joke, but come on. I slain it. I slew it. I slapped it silly with my dagger. All right, let's get a move on. Let's do some adventuring. All of these symbols on the walls, those are different ores of rock or dirt or something. Can I examine those? Oh, the up key doesn't work. Oh no, it does work. It's fixed in this nightly build, but I'm not on free targeting. I don't know how to get on free targeting. Oh well, who cares? There's something down here. It's another icky thing. Take that, you icky. Oh, it's a clear icky. Clear. It is invisible, it says. Now, can I see it because I have infravision? Why could I see it? I noticed that before with another character. Why can I see these things that are supposedly invisible? I don't know. Anyway, notice I've turned yellow. My @ sign is yellow. That's because I took 2 points of damage. I'm now at 17 of 19 hit points. You can hit Shift R, at least in my roguelike command. So Shift R is the rest command. You can rest for 0 to 9,999 turns. You can hit these shortcut keys to rest until some automatic cutoff point. I've only ever really done the ampersand, which is all I'm going to do now, which is rest as needed. But exclamation point would rest until HP or SP are restored. Asterisk until HP and SP are restored, and ampersand until as needed. I think that means it would also catch things like status ailments, like if you were confused or something. It would wait for that to wear off before it woke you up. So we'll just do this, and I get my 2 HPs back as I took a nap, and now we're ready to roll. Okay, so now we're in a big room. Oh no, it's not a big room at all. It was just slightly bigger than my light radius. Like when you do get a lantern, that's nice because it has a light radius of 3 instead of just 2. I'm very slow at exploring. That's just the way it's gonna be for a little while anyway. Floating eye. I'm hitting it. I think eventually in this same category of the E symbol, we will get things like beholders or whatever. This is basically like a junior beholder, a disembodied eye floating a few feet above the ground. This one doesn't really have any particular powers, I don't think, aside from being a floating eye. I don't like the mushroom patches. They're pretty obnoxious, but they don't move. Now, giant white scent, that's centipede. It's the asleep part is woke up, so now you can see it's a giant white centipede. Fleeing, well, but it can't flee past the mushroom patch, I don't think. Is that why it's frozen? Or is that fear? What is that? Well, I killed it. Now the mushroom patch, these mushroom patches sit there and they fire spores at you. I don't technically know anything about its attack. I've been playing against mushroom patches in the other builds, in the 4.2.3 version and in my local Windows version. So I know my encyclopedia in this nightly version is not built up, so it doesn't know. So I guess we'll go find out about the spores unless I can kill it right away. Oh, I did, so I still don't know anything about the spores. The spores are obnoxious. Various types of the mushroom patches, I forget what the yellow one is specifically. The spores will inflict states on you like confused or poisoned. And the confusion ones in particular are obnoxious. I think there are some that will terrify you. Here's a stairway down to the next level of the dungeon. We're 50 feet down at level 1, as it says in the lower left, or mid lower left. There's all these doors, and the look how convoluted this room layout is here. I'm not a huge fan of how intricate the room layout gets, because it's kind of a pain to navigate around with keyboard keys, you know. Now these white worm masses, these are weak monsters. So monsters do have a hit point bar. It's in the middle left there. You can see those 2 red asterisks left for this worm that I just blasted with my dagger. Oh, but my encyclopedia doesn't know. These, I think, are among the types of creatures who breed explosively. So if you don't watch out, there are creatures in this game, and this isn't my favorite thing either, who will just multiply, like right before your eyes. You get like fleas and little insects doing this. Maybe worms don't breed quite that fast, and they will just fill up a room, and they'll actually just smother you, kind of. You won't be able to move because there's these regenerating monsters around you. It's sort of, you can't even kill them fast enough. You really need like area effect spells sometimes to get them. I don't know. It's nuts. I'm down to an orange. I have 19 out of 38 health. I guess I got messed up by something. I see, this is bad. I was not paying attention. I could have got killed. And there's no coming back. But I mean, look at this room. Who makes a room like this, random generator? I would prefer to maybe not have rooms this crazy. Holy moly. I guess that was a dead-end room. This is where the block walls do make it easier to read at a glance, but they are somehow harder on my eyeballs, so whatever. Now, you notice my symbol went from orange to yellow. You heal as turns pass, even if you're moving around. Now here I could, for instance, just target this, and it didn't bring it up. Didn't I set? Oh no, I made a new character, and maybe it didn't get the subwindows setup that I just changed before. No, it didn't. So I want my object recall doubled up in here. Now when I target there, it'll give me the recall on those. So that's good. It's because all the armor I have right now is my leather shirt, basically. So now I have leather gloves. Can wield those or wear. +1. Now notice I didn't bother waiting until I could identify these magically. I think they're in in Moria and earlier versions of Angband, I found this in one of the variants, probably Hengband, and was able to verify it in that version. For instance, if you pick up an item and it turns out to be a cursed item, and you have put it on, or even just taken a sword in Rogue, for instance, and and wielded a sword that turns out to be cursed in Rogue, you can't put them down. You can't put cursed objects down in these older games. In current Angband, that is not a thing. Even if something turns out to be cursed, it will not stay stuck to you. You can just drop it. You can drop it. So that fixes a huge, obnoxious, terrifying thing about cursed items that has persisted in a lot of roguelikes for a long time. If you find an item in Angband that turns out to be cursed, it's just, well, just drop it, man, get rid of it. There's lots of other stuff that'll come along. So you don't have to. So I think a lot of the changes they've made are to make it so you can play Iron Man, because a problem with Iron Man would be how do you identify stuff if unless you were a wizard who found a spell book that had the identify spell in it, or maybe you start with one at certain levels or certain classes. I don't know, but anyway, so that's not such a problem now. Here's a scroll. This is the identify game. Scrolls are given this sort of Latin-esque gibberish. I think you can read stuff on the ground, in fact, if you hit a certain key. Like 5, maybe? Let's try that, actually. So I'm not picking the scroll up. I'm going to hit R to read. Yeah, it's just on the ground. I didn't have to, or did I pick it up? No, it's still there. That's cool. Read, it's just I'm reading it off the ground without touching it, without bothering to pick it up. I mean, it's easy. You don't have to drop scrolls after you read them. They just disintegrate. So that's sort of easy. When I read it, it will tell me what it does. Now, I don't know if there's a school of thought that is that you shouldn't do this. You should wait. Oh, I did see some people just earlier today or yesterday, there was an old thread. People were saying that you should wait until you're by a staircase and about to go down, because then if something bad happens, you can bail. So if I had just summoned some creatures, if it had turned out to be a scroll of monster summoning, I could have bailed at a stairway. And in Angband, even with persistent levels, for instance, I don't think creatures will follow you downstairs. There is at least one variant I've read about that where creatures do follow you downstairs. And I know in Silk Q that I was playing, the creatures would go up and down the stairs on their own. I don't know if that would actually translate into you being able to see them on multiple floors like that if you followed them, or if they follow you in Silk Q. I don't know. So that was a sense invisible scroll, or detect invisible. Of course, I used it so I don't have any more. But the next time I find one, if I am so lucky, I will know right away. It won't have that gibberish Latin-y name. It'll just be called a Scroll of Detect Invisible, or whatever the official name is. Man, I'm getting these really... So if I hit Shift-M, that shows me a map. These maps are actually hard to read because it's still the same ASCII characters. So it basically compresses the details. It'll always show you the stairways, but you can't always read the walls so good. What I would really like these to do is have some kind of color coded highlight that shows you areas you have not explored. Like, it should show me areas I haven't explored in orange blocks or something, just something, because it's hard to tell from this a lot of the time if there are areas that you have missed or that you didn't finish exploring. So what I've been finding is I have to hit Shift W and pan around with the cursor keys, or my directional roguelike keys, that way, to see in more detail if I missed any hallways and so forth. But look at these weird rooms I'm getting already on level 1. I mean, geez. But I can see here, there's this room. Oh, there's a kobold sleeping in this little room in this middle of a bigger room. And, you feel bad. So I could just hit C to close the door. Oh, and in this version of Angband, you don't even have to pick a direction to close the door. It just does it. That's nice. Is he still asleep? Oh, to open it, though, you do. Ooh, I hit close. That's why. If I hit O, it automatically opens. I didn't have to pick a direction. So I wonder if repeated slamming of this door will wake up this kobold. Wait, I'm a kobold. I'm a kobold. I'm not even a half kobold. I'm a straight up kobold. Oh no. Well, I guess your human character kills plenty of other humans in these dungeons. So kobold bro, this kobold did wake up. From my repeatedly slamming the door right next to it. It's a little slow. Oh, this evil creature. So am I evil, man? Mr. Recall Narrator, am I evil? Or is it just this kobold evil? Would I be worth 5 points if a second level character killed me? I suppose this is a first level kobold or 0th level. It resists poison. Hey, that's just like me. Well, I'm going to sit here and see if it attacks me. But it says it's evil, which implies that it will attack me. It attacked me. That's too bad, kobold dude. Kobold. I mean, we could be related for all we know. But aren't we all sentient beings related? Anyway, gotta kill you. Oh, there's another one in there. Well, guess what's happening? Just gotta annihilate everybody because I'm a big evil kobold too. Okay, well, that was dark. Now, of course, I could have left them. I could have just gone on. Would they have chased me eventually or tracked me down? I don't know. Maybe they had a vendetta against my family. Maybe that was my family. These are strange thoughts. Here's a scroll. I'm just going to read it off the ground. White light. So that's a scroll of light. Cool. I mean, I didn't need it in this room, but later there are rooms that are not illuminated on their own. Wild dog. Lots of these dogs do tend to travel in packs. Oh, I'm just chewing up this whole pack of dogs with my dagger. I'm dog-headed myself. This is all weird when you're a kobold. Now did I? Okay, I did get over there. Of course, you don't have to explore all this either, and of course, since I have persistent levels, I could always come back. So that exclamation mark is a potion. You can hit left square bracket to get a little pop-up list of monsters. You can hit right square bracket to get a pop-up list of objects. That's kind of too much work for me. There's also, like the monster list, you can make a permanent info field that would show you all the objects you can see and some of the ones that you remember. See, it says you are aware. So you could make a permanent object list like that object list there. I could have that, for instance, at the lower part of this main left section of the screen. But I don't think I'm going to do that. Because I don't tend to look at that. It's kind of too much information. Just read this new scroll off the ground. Scroll of treasure detection. I don't see. Oh, yeah. So those gold asterisks, those are like veins of valuable ore that I could mine out of the rock. I'm not going to do that. Pungent potion. So here's the potion identify game. A pungent. Oh, wait. Could I have dropped? Let's try that. Oh, come on. Just drop all of them. Could I quaff? No. So Q is for quaff, that is to drink a potion. Looks like I do have to pick them up. So I picked up my 4 pungent potions. I'm going to Q for quaff, a pungent potion. So that was a potion of cure light wounds. I did not need it. I was well rested and perfectly healed, but now I know what those do. There's a little bit of rubble in the hallway. I can hold control. I have to keep looking down at my keyboard. It's a new keyboard. I don't know. I'm still hunting and pecking anyway. So anyway, control and a direction cleared the rubble. That wasn't real mining, just sort of clearing rubble, but it's sort of akin to mining because you can mine by holding control and going a direction, I think. So that's just a big pile of dogs and and one giant white centipede off in the corner by itself. Are these dogs going to come streaming after me? I don't have a whole lot of tactical options. I could chug my potion of berserk strength. That's definitely overkill for these dogs, but I don't have any missile weapons. So my tactical options are not super interesting. I think there actually is a command. So here I don't like how this command list is done. This could be better. You hit A for available commands, and remember that Hengband question mark info menu. This is what I get here in Angband by hitting question mark. It just says at the top, it says go read the docs on that website. That's where I pulled up that info on the kobold race, for instance. Why isn't that stuff in the game here? Did they get tired of having to maintain text-based versions and HTML-based versions? But I think it was never in here. That's just weird. But and then to add insult to injury, when you hit you hit A to bring up the commands, which you might as well just do from the get-go and save us all the trouble. This is the original keyset command summary. That is not the one, that is not mine because I am using the roguelike keys, so I have to go down to the roguelike keyset. The game should know which keyset I'm on, and it should show me the one I'm on, you know? So that sucks. Anyway, I think there is actually a key where you can just have your character yell. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of Infra Arcana because some people were talking about yelling outside doors in Infra Arcana to draw the monsters out or something so you wouldn't get ambushed. Maybe there isn't a yell in Angband. I mean, I can do anything else to make a sound. I don't know, maybe there isn't. Like if I hold control and hit to the left, I chip away futilely at the granite wall. I'm trying to wake up these dogs. Sleeping dogs. I woke one up, I think. Something moved. No, yeah. So I did wake one up because there's 5, but only 4 are asleep. Come on. Oh, no. Let's just pretend that didn't show up. That's one of the quirks of running in a browser. That was Control N for new browser window. Oh, dear. Yeah, I guess I don't want to tunnel down into the left or down into the right. That's Control N. Shoot. Okay. Down. Control J is okay. Control J is okay. Like I think. Yeah, I wonder if there's a way to turn that off. Except I don't want to turn that off entirely. I don't know what to do about that, actually. Well, that's a tricky thing about playing on the web. I have managed to wake up all but one of the dogs. It looks like they're coming for me. But maybe one of them will get here before the others. No, backed off. Come on, dogs. Okay. Are they going to follow me? Be brave, dog. It didn't. Come on. Come get me. Come get your dog-headed buddy. Well, one of them finally got up close to me. where are these coming? How, does it tell me how fast they are? Normal speed. I don't know how 2 just became 3 there. I guess 1 is just out of my view around the edge of this door and popped into view, and sort of the other moved over. Well, I slew 1, but another immediately took its place, evidently. Did the game just freak out on me? Am I paused? Oh. Oh, I moved. Yeah, it did. I think I hit some lag. Well, fortunately, these dogs aren't a huge threat. I could have got myself killed by that little. Let's see, they won't follow me. They won't follow me out of their lair. And they keep hiding. Right around the corner, I guess. I don't know. This is getting a little weird. Okay. Now this centipede is still asleep. Slept through a pack of dogs attacking a kobold. Well, live and die and learn. Centipede is still alive. Oh no, it's dead. Sorry, Centipedo. You were just a sound sleeper, evidently. Okay, that looks like those slightly blue hashtags denote the border of the map. Look at these weird little twisting, self-repeating passages. Here's some rubble. I'm holding Control. Don't pop up a browser window. I hit Control H. That's not a browser shortcut, I guess. Hey, yeah, I don't know. Should I go turn off? There's probably some way to turn off like Control N as a shortcut in Firefox. But I need Control. Well, I don't need it, but I guess I don't use Control N. I use Control T. Never really use Control N. Well, maybe I'll be able to turn that off. Traps. So Shift D will disarm or try to disarm traps. I'm confused, so maybe, yeah, it's not going to work too well. So rather than bumble around in my confused state, I'm going to rest as needed. I just hit enter because ampersand is already automatically entered. And it didn't. I'm still confused because the dog updated things and snapped me out of my resting state. Stop waking up off screen, wild dog. What the heck? Okay, I'm just going to hit the period. There we go. Advanced. So I brainlessly hit the diagonal up to move into the trap, but it actually disarmed it automatically as I tried to do that. Wow, this is weird. Am I not wielding a torch? No, I am. Why do they just blink out like that? I thought I had 50-foot infravision for one thing. No, I don't know what the visibility, how that's working here. These wild dogs will not come out of their little room. I wonder if my torch is messing with the infravision. What if I Shift W? No, that's not it. Shift T, take off or unwield. Unwield my torch. Now what do we got? Same thing, more or less. Well, I don't know. Wow, I don't have any other torches. This could get a little bad if I don't find more. So I guess I shouldn't be wasting too much time because I'm wasting my torch. And I do not have a store to go to buy another torch. So now I know what scrolls of detect invisible are because I got one before and it didn't pick one up though. Oh, maybe because I never. So that I probably should be picking them up then, because the way auto pickup works in this game, if you have or had something in your, maybe you would have to anyway. If you have something, I know if you have something in your inventory, it'll pick up another automatically if you stand on it. If you don't, maybe it won't. So maybe if, because I didn't, even though I knew what a detect invisible scroll was, I didn't have one in my inventory. Maybe it wouldn't have picked it up anyway. See, this is just the weird maze-like corridors. It's so intricate. Oh man, just pulled a loop. Oh, there was a door up there. Son of a gun. I mean, I could take a little less twisting of the corridors. Hey, there's just some money. Oh, there's a gray mold. Now, I think molds don't move either. Does not deign to chase intruders. You can't put molds to sleep? Come on. So nothing is known. This, maybe this is the one with the spores. I don't know. Well, it's dead. So I still don't know because I killed it too fast. And I became level 3. Whoa, caps lock is appearing down there. Maybe that's my new keyboard. See, it's sort of just exploring the final dregs of these weird tunnels. Oh, where? How did I not pick those up before? Just read it all. Oh, maybe. Oh, did I? Oh, I read them off the floor and then see. I shouldn't read the stuff off the floor then because there were multiples and I forgot. And I just walked away without even noticing. But wait, I didn't read the. Oh no, scroll of darkness, and I've blinded myself. So now I'm just gonna rest. Okay, see, technically, I should control or shift T. I should unwheel if I want to be really saving of my precious light. So now I have unwielded the light. I think 3, 4, 9, 5 turns. I think if I wait a couple turns here, then check inventory again. Yeah, so it has. So I'm no longer burning the torch. Oh, but I'm also no longer blinded. So I was gonna rest automatically, and I didn't want to rest while I was burning my precious torchlight. But anyway, now I am cured, so I can light my torch back up and go ahead. Oh, see, this is it. This is a confusion that I hate. Because then you just move around, you bumble around randomly. Usually, you can sometimes, okay, I killed it. I'm still confused. Now I'm going to rest. I'm going to waste my torch. Just rest until I'm not confused. All right. I guess it doesn't last that long anyway. Giant white mouse, giant white centipede. I sense a giant color scheme. These creatures are not that exciting. Whoa, that was weird. Sorry, mouse. I think mice. It doesn't say. I don't know how fast they breed. A wicker shield, sweet. Armor class 2, so my AC is 11. If I pick this up with G, wield it with W, my AC is now 13. Why does it say I? Is that just its designation? Yes. Letter I, call sign. Connecting rooms. Oh, there's a small kobold behind me. Hello, small kobold. Oh, well, I attacked you because I got impatient. I should have waited. Okay, I'm not going to chase it. I will not chase you, my fellow kobold. I mean, I'm not purposely chasing it. I just want to make sure I've got that part of the map. So if that kobold wants to go and live free, I applaud it. As long as it doesn't come and stab me in the back. In one way or other. So there's a door over there that I'm going to forget about. There's this door here. There's a sleeping kobold. Let sleeping kobolds lie. I say these snakes, though, are fair game. These silly sleeping snakes. Maybe it's cold down here and they're, reptiles and they're sleepy. Dark red potion. I shouldn't drink it right here when there's potential enemies about, but I am going to Q-quaff it. Give me that dark red. I'm paralyzed. That's a big problem. Potion's asleep. So everybody's asleep now. The centipede wakes up. The kobold wakes up. I wake up. Okay, that could have been worse. Well, they're coming for me. Ochre potion. Get it. Are you going to hit me, kobold? He hit me. Well, you're dead. Okay. Okay, you're fleeing. Centipede is dead. The small kobold I am going to track down and kill because it did attack me. Sorry. Something rolled beneath my feet. It's 3 scrolls of Acrium Pledgeo. Why 3? I don't know. He's collecting them. Pick them up. Read them. Acrium Plego is a scroll of phase door, so it warps you a short distance, as it did right there. Those can save your buns, so it's good to have some of those packed away, as I do now. I was sort of annoyed with Angband and the like at first because I was thinking, man, what kind of roguelike is it where you just get all these get out of danger free objects all the time? Oh, there's a mushroom patch. I don't like mushroom patches. But whatever. That's the way it goes. These games are not the toughest roguelikes in the sense of how long you can survive on average, because you do get these get out of jail free. So here's a kobold that's apparently coming after me. Yeah, sorry, small kobold. Well, we just can't help ourselves. Just had to come and hit me, huh? It's the tragedy of today. Fruit bat, you just bought it. You just fruited your last fruit bat. Okay, I'm up a little late. Probably just talking a bunch of nonsense. I just killed a large white snake though, so that's something to tell the kids about. Now can I shortcut? If I hold Control or Shift T? No, that's unreal. Control T. No, that's Tab. How did I do this? Oh, I'll just hold Control and then hit a direction. Oh no, but I've. Okay, I think I'm okay now. Yeah, I can't get through granite with my. See, I don't have it. You can get like shovels and picks, and I just have my dagger, so that ain't gonna cut it. And I'm not a dwarf, so I don't have special mining ability. I'm just a kobold. Which means awesome. There. Man, they are really, what do we got here? Confusion gas trap and a siren. Did that siren go off? Control P. Sudden stirring in the distance, a horn blast. So in theory, I'm going to shift D to try to disarm some of these, so it makes me pick one. Got him. In theory, that means it'll spawn some enemies on me, or maybe it'll bring some if there was. I don't know how that works exactly, but I'm not sure it's true. It's hard to say that you see enemies stream in after you hit an alarm. I don't think the clear icky thing feels like a thing that would be responding to the alarm. Potion. If it's light brown, chug it down. Moving faster, potions of speed. What is the ochre potion? Feel like a hero, potion of heroism. I forget what those do exactly. Oh, here we have some breeders. Oh, well, they're giant white mice. Yeah, breeds explosively, so that's a problem. All I have to clear these things out is a dagger. Flask of oil. That's not useful until I have a lantern, but I'll pick it up anyway. Well, I killed 2 of them super fast. Let's get them. Now, did I get all of them, or are there more just breeding off in the upper reaches of this cave thing I'm in? Is this one of those oval, or is it supposed to be circular chambers with a donut hole in the middle? Ah, geez, there's a lot of traps all of a sudden. Oh gosh, I'm confused from the stupid trap. Rested. Now disarm it. Thank you. Traps are dumb. Oh, it's only a half circle. I haven't seen one of those before. What a find. A half circle room with a stairway down at the far Pac-Man mouth end. That's weird. What the heck is that? Oh, there's just a gosh darn. Ah, well, damn. Look at this crazy place. I guess I've probably just about covered everything. You can't really tell from this. Kind of looks like a giant, looks like one of those later airship stages in Super Mario Brothers 3, you know, where there's just levels of timber and cannons and huge sails and um, uh, so the nearest stairway down is probably over to the right. Unless I could tunnel quickly over to that one on the left, but I can't. Oh, not this place again. Oh, shoot. It's not the shortest. Oh, well. I'm there now, just about. All right, stairway down. That was along floor 1. In theory, that's good because the more experience points and stuff I get, the better equipped I'll be to take on later stages, right? Now we got some green worm masses. Oh, those things can shoot acid, so that's bad. Acid, well, they have to crawl on you to do the acid, but acid erodes your armor, which sucks. But fortunately, they did not get my armor as far as I saw. No, they didn't. But they can just chew away at your armor class, basically. The apprentice sets off a blinding flash. Is that the spell of blink self? Well, he blinded me. Now I can still move into him because he stayed there like a dope and I killed him. I'm gonna rest until the blindness wears off. Fortunately, there were no more acolytes immediately backing that jerk up. But we do have a sleeping bunch of cave spiders. Well, just kill them in their sleep. That's how we get to level 4. I have to watch my health. I turned yellow. That means I'm wounded. Killing cave spiders by the bucket. Oh my gosh. Am I poisoned? No. So orange means, what does that probably mean? 66% health? I don't know. I can't do fractions. These cave spiders can't even poison, it doesn't look like. Well, they're all dead. Gonna rest just briefly, because why not? Resting's free. Is this a big loop? Holy smackaroonies. What a weird... Wow. I wonder if there's like a secret entrance in there. There's no search function as far as I'm aware. Searching, or as far as I'm aware, it's all automatic. I suppose there could be a magically revealed secret, maybe? I don't know. Or you could just dig a tunnel right through the whole thing to see if there's something in there, if you had a good pick or something. Well, I'll never know. This is a weird level so far, though. Look at this. Look at all these doors. Somebody went nuts with doors. Was there a surplus sale on doors at the local, whatever store it would be? Dungeons R Us. I got a lot of flasks of oil, but no lantern, so should I even be bothering? Oh, wait, you can throw flasks of oil at people. Now, the throw command is confusing, too, because I think it's V for my key layout. Yeah, so it says throw which item. It does list flasks of oil here, but say I wanted to throw a potion. Well, what I finally realized was that this is not all the items. If you hit slash for inventory, it'll show you the rest of your inventory. Why it only shows you some, I don't know. Maybe it just shows you common throwing items. I don't understand. And that took me a while to figure out in this version. But so I could throw a potion of speed at a monster and it might speed it up. I wouldn't obviously want to do that, but there are probably potions of like slow or other things that you might get a benefit of dousing the... So that's a cut purse that can try to pickpocket me. I got in a shield bash? How did I do that? Did I hit the wrong key? Did the cut purse bash me? Couldn't flee because there was another cut purse right behind it. More shield bashing. I'm not doing that, am I? Now we got some... Oh, it's Fang. So there are a couple of these dogs of Farmer Maggot. Farmer Maggot is from Lord of the Rings, or is it The Hobbit or something? To me, it makes the game feel small that you're always running into these dumb, unique dogs. Thinks I'm stealing mushrooms. Come on. 100 feet down in a dungeon? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't think they should be in here. But they're an Angband tradition, an Angband institution, you might say. Blubbering icky thing. Oh no, it crawled on me. Oh, it's just poison. Okay, it's not acid. Why am I shield bashing now? Shield bash is a command. I don't even know what the key is. Did I do something on my keyboard to cause this to keep happening? Yeah, I don't even know how you shield bash. If it's here, I'm overlooking it. Maybe it's in the manual. Search for bash. Compiling instructions. Oh yeah, it's a programming term. Alter commands. It's bashing doors down. Command counts. Oh. Alter with plus. This special command allows the use of a single key press to select any of the obvious commands above. Attack and by using key. Oh, control key. Is my control key toggled? I don't know. That thing right there, that yellow asterisk is, basically precious something in the wall. If I can tunnel that out. I chip away futilely at the quartz vein with treasure. With my dagger. I need a better weapon, man. Anyway, no. Man, these dungeons are maze-like. Potion of Heroism. It didn't pick it up, I guess, because I only had I didn't have any currently. Now I have it. Actually, let's do Shift I. Potion of Heroism. Oh, I thought it would keep it in my little info readout, but it doesn't. When quaffed, heals 10 hit points, cures fear, and extends heroism. What does the heroism actually do? Blah. Grey mold is dead. Good. Wildcat. We have an apprentice, so I can see these way off, I guess, because of my infravision. Apprentices. Apprentice and acolyte. 2 acolytes just sleeping? Are they in the hall? Just sleeping in a hall? You dopes. I really need to get some, better weapons for one thing. I mean, I'm only on level 2, I guess. Maybe I'm just hitting the control key without paying attention. Hey, it's free money. Stairway down. This is a really loopy, big old broad layout. There's stuff over there I should have checked. Let's go back. Fortunately, with a layout like this, it's really quick to zoom through it. Of course, I'm burning. It's taking game time, in-game time. Torchlight, torch fuel, whatever. I'm hitting lag. Cancelled. Lagging. Bilbo Laggins. Oh, really laggy. Uh-oh. Maybe this is a good time to stop, although actually maybe it's a bad time to stop. Maybe my cursor just got off on something. No, I'm still unable to move. Well, the game's not responding. Not sure what to do about that. Do I have internet? Is the manual still responding? I don't like this full screen thing. Well, the manual's still working. Arg. Well, I don't know. I think I've sort of lagged out of angband.live. Now, in theory, I could disconnect and reconnect. I don't know where that will leave my Kobold Rookie Warrior. There's no autosave settings in the game itself that I could find. So, would it have a recent save of my character? Would I have to do some of this exploring again? Are these balloons always red? Have I lagged out? Am I so lagged out it won't even tell me I'm lagged out? I mean, I can log off the icon in the upper right. I don't want to. Or what if I hit Control X? That would usually save and log out. Not doing it here because I'm so lagged out anyway. Well, I'm going to try going back to the root angband.live. That's still okay. Well, it got most of what I had just done. That's good. Anyway, I think that's a good time to stop. So that was me in, oh, I didn't want to show chat either. Is that interesting? Yeah, the chat did turn to like some kind of weird warning color. So that was Angband, played over angband.live. I did lag out there, but it didn't miss too much. And I think it's okay now if I wanted to keep playing or no, but now I've moved my keys. I've refocused my keys. There we go. Yeah, it's fine. Hey, there's a fellow kobold. Hello, sleeping. That's what I should go do. I should go be a sleeping kobold. So anyway, Angband, I find this game just compulsive to just keep foraging through the dungeon. I guess that means I like it. So yeah, I mean, I'm only on the second level of the dungeon. So, gosh, some of these levels are huge. So yeah, it's still pretty tame, and they've intentionally kind of tamed the early layers of the dungeon, I think, so you can't get yourself killed super easy on the first handful of levels of the dungeon, basically. But that changes pretty soon. You have to start being on your toes. anyway, that was me in Angband. I've sort of obsessed over investigating Angband and variants of Angband over the past couple weeks, so I'm glad I got the chance to get some of that off my chest. Let that sleeping kobold lie. It may carry a single object or treasure. And I will be playing more of this. The next roguelike I play, though, will be Infra Arcana, when I get a chance to work in a bonus episode without losing too much sleep. Kind of unlike just now, but I needed to get this one done for my own sanity. So thanks for watching. You can go play this game right now on angband.live. You can play any of the variants. You don't even have to download the games, although if you want to download the desktop version, you can go to the Hengband website and do that. It's pretty fun, pretty cool. It's a really deep game, and that's not even supposed to be a pun, but I guess it works okay as a pun as well. But there's a lot to this crazy ASCII game. And that wasn't supposed to be a pun either, but I keep doing that one. Oh, there's a door over there. I'm gonna miss unless I go hit it. Oh, shoot. Oh, the kobold woke up and tried to backstab me. What are we teaching the children? Gosh, I'm really good at hitting caps lock accidentally. I did it again. It's not the shift key. I was gonna miss these too. Holy crikeys. Get this door. What's in here? Why isn't it connecting? That's all. Now how can there be... Oh, that's up to level 1. Like where... Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, I knew about a bunch of staircases on level 1. Yeah, and I have to go see if I can turn off Control N in Firefox, so that, because that is a mining function in Hengband, but it's a open new window function for Firefox, so that's a bit of a conflict. Actually, what does what does the command list have to say? See, in the non-roguelike keys, Control N is not mapped to anything. In the roguelike keys, it is. This tells me that probably not a lot of people use the roguelike keys, but there's no getting around like that. N is a classic roguelike key. If they made an alter southeast, doesn't look like it. If I really had to, I could switch the control scheme over. That seems silly. There's probably some way to get around it with a macro if I really wanted to do that. But what I most want to do, I think, is just turn off the hotkey in Firefox. So maybe I can find a way to do that. The hotkey for making a new window in Firefox, because I never use that one anyway. Well, that's a wrinkle I didn't think of before. Bah. Just hitting a bunch of dumb keys. Well, so Control X saves the game, return. See, not too many people play the nightly build. These last scores are from 2018. I wonder what was going on then that people were playing the nightly build. I find that a little hard to believe that there aren't any others. Well, it's middle of the night. Not too many other people playing. In fact, just one. I need to get going. So, yeah, drop by Angband Live sometime and check out the hot ASCII action going down, hardcore dungeon conquering style, Angband and all the Angband, well, lots of Angband variants. And I guess I'll be back here from time to time until I find some reason not to. But so far, it seems pretty fun. As I said, though, the next roguelike episode I do will be back to Infra Arcana. Arcana. Thanks for watching, and good night.